Hell is us. No, Labugu was hurt in making of this video. Some game journalists call the protagonist a boring white guy. If they them dislike it, it's probably made for me. It sure is a mystery why no one takes games journalists seriously. But the open, racially motivated hostility is astounding. Game is designed to be played with a controller, and it can be felt as the camera and the character jerk to left and right when using WASD and mouse. Easily fixed with a small change in mouse DPI and getting accustomed to controls. Save game system is like in some much older games, like original Tomb Raider on the PlayStation. There are save points resembling a 1980s cassette deck at relevant points of interest. Combat is not Souls-like, but a return to more action RPG style of the past. Well, it is kind of Souls-like, but it borrows heavily from Neo and many other games to a point it feels like a hack and slash. Welcome things to everyone with Souls-like combat fatigue. Lady Gaga, backup dancers, enemies. Setting seems like an aftermath of a modern war, but the combat and enemies are these weird, hellish aberrations. Intentional ludo-narrative dissonance adds to the bleak atmosphere of the war zone. Weapons level up. Weapons gain experience simply by being used in combat. Every enemy defeated with a weapon contributes to its XP pool. To truly enhance your arsenal, you'll need to upgrade weapons at the forge in Jova, after unlocking this feature by progressing through the story. Each weapon is tied to an emotional affinity: grief, rage, ecstasy, terror, or neutral. Upgrading a weapon to Grade 2 requires choosing one of these limbic spheres. Glyphs are special abilities that can be equipped based on the weapon's sphere. For example, a rage weapon can use rage and neutral glyphs only. Weapons start with a level cap that increases with each grade upgrade. No quest markers, no exclamation points above NPC heads, no girl boss telling you what to do. No map. Good draw distance with big landmarks in the far that are important to identify and use to navigate the world areas. The APC acts like a fast travel system, similar to Silt Striders, but you are the one in control and have something resembling a rough travel map to choose destinations. Game leaves you to your own devices to figure it all out yourself. Breath of fresh air in current year. Reminds me of Morrowind and games from decades ago. AA in price, but better than some AAA in quality. Puzzles are above Skyrim tier, but not really hard or disruptive to the flow of the game. Cues on how to solve them are either visually presented well or in form of audio hints you will naturally find scattered in the area of interest. narrative feels real and has a human interweaved pattern leading back into the Civil War, with a realistic human depiction of the ugliness of war. Rare happy moments happen when you help someone that is really in need, but it only happens because you do it on your own. You have to figure it out yourself. Intriguing story, with every discovery a part of your personal experience. War of Two Ideologies.
Of humankind. And our Lord Setharus gouged out his eye, gifting his followers with protection. And I believe they are this.
Who are you?
The names, when the
Do you know where the village of Jova?
It's in a group. Thank you for bringing this watch back to me. My father gave...
Perspective of ghetto games that survived the civil wars during the 1990s in Yugoslavia, of course. Arriving at a site of a mass grave and encountering a father grieving over the death of his daughter that got separated from him, as happened many times with families being dragged to different sides at checkpoints where men would be separated by soldiers from women and children, can trigger horrific memories of war and is not recommended for people with such trauma. Soundtrack is eerie and creates a dreadful atmosphere in synergy with the happenings around you. Composer Stefan Primo delivers a haunting ambient score that leans heavily on dark synths, industrial textures, and unsettling tonal shifts. The music isn't just background, it's a soundscape. It pulses, hums, and screeches in ways that mirror the psychological tension of the game's themes. Dialogue, just like in Morrowind, has NPC-specific and quest world-specific topics, but also general topics shared by NPCs from their respective perspective. Voice acting is believable, and characters sound as you would expect them to. The audio is thematic. It reflects the emotional states of the protagonist and the horrors of war. Whether it's the low rumble of dread or the high-pitched whine of supernatural interference, the sound design constantly reinforces the narrative. Graphics have nice shadows and textures. Draw distance is huge, but the nearby assets are very detailed. Visually, Hell Is Us delivers a striking aesthetic that blends surrealism with grounded realism, creating a hauntingly immersive atmosphere. The game's use of Unreal Engine 5 enables high-fidelity textures, dynamic lighting, and volumetric effects that elevate its eerie, post-apocalyptic setting. The environments are meticulously crafted with a muted color palette, punctuated by bursts of unnatural hues, like glowing anomalies and crimson fog, that evoke psychological tension. This contrast between decayed landscapes and supernatural elements reinforces the game's central theme of internal conflict and existential dread. Cutscenes are at 30 FPS. Game defaults to a 62 FPS limit and TSR 63% upscaling. Changing this to DLSS quality and a 60 FPS limit with vertical synchronization gives a perfectly playable, enjoyable experience, similar to playing Elden Ring at stable 60 FPS. Performance is the best seen with Unreal Engine 5 since Clair Obscur Expedition 33. From a technical standpoint, the game pushes graphical boundaries, but at a high system requirements cost. The visuals are demanding, especially with ray tracing and high-resolution assets. Performance on the RX 580 and R5 2600X computer is atrocious. Medium preset with high textures and FSR balanced upscaling at 1366 by 768 resolution gives a shaky 30 FPS experience, with pixelation and artifacting all over the place. A mix of low settings with median textures, FSR quality, and frame generation does output around 50 to 60 frames per second, but the latency is increased. Perhaps it would be a decent controller experience and when played from a 3-meter distance on the TV. One of the best new IP games this year. Worth the playthrough for the gameplay alone. But it's the strong emotional story and storytelling that are the main lesson to learn from it. Fresh addition to a somewhat stale lineup of recent 2024 and 2025 Souls-like games that are either sequels or clones. Rogue Factor made a masterpiece. Solid 85 out of 100, would recommend.